Every stone they lifted rewrote what human hands were thought capable of. In a quarry in southern Egypt lies a single block of granite the length of a 12-story building, weighing around 1,000 tons. It remains attached to the bedrock exactly where the ancient workers left it, a monument to ambition interrupted. Historians typically learn about ancient engineering from the monuments that survived, the standing temples, the obelisks still pointing skyward. But this approach tells only half the story. The most useful object Egypt left behind is the one they never finished. A finished obelisk conceals its own making. Once polished, raised, and inscribed, it reveals nothing about the years of labor beneath. This unfinished stone froze mid-process. Every stage of work remains visible, preserving the method that completed obelisks have hidden for millennia. Obelisks represented Egypt's most challenging engineering achievement, not assembled from blocks, but extracted whole from the earth as a single stone, then transported hundreds of kilometers, then raised upright without fracturing. Each represented a multi-year gamble on technique and labor. This one was ordered by someone ambitious enough to demand the largest obelisk ever attempted, roughly a third larger than any standing on Earth today. The order came almost certainly from Hatshepsut, who ruled Egypt as pharaoh in her own right. She raised obelisks at Karnak to make her reign undeniable in stone. The biggest obelisk would be her loudest permanent argument. An obelisk had to be one unbroken stone. Joins were unacceptable. The monument was sunlight made solid, and sunlight does not come in pieces. They came to Aswan, where the Nile cuts through hard red granite. This stone resists weathering for thousands of years, exactly why they wanted it. Yet that same durability made cutting it nearly impossible with available tools. Egyptian tools were copper and bronze. Granite far exceeds both in hardness. Drag a copper chisel across it, and the chisel fails. The workers understood this. Rather than attempt the impossible, they abandoned the entire idea of cutting and invented a different method entirely. So they devised another method. They found a stone harder than granite itself and used it to pound the mountain away, grain by grain, stroke after stroke. The tool was dolerite, dark, dense, tougher than the granite beneath it. Workers held rounded dolerite balls and struck downward repeatedly. Each blow removed dust. Thousands of blows removed a hand's width of stone. Day after day, the trench deepened. They pounded a trench around the whole outline. It is barely wider than a kneeling man, because that is exactly what it was sized for. Picture the sound. Hundreds of workers in a line, each in his own narrow slot, striking stone against stone from first light until dusk. The trench deepened by roughly the width of a finger each day. This punishing work continued for months. But cutting the sides was the easy half. The question that decides everything is how you free 1,000 tons from below. To lift it, they had to reach underneath and break it free along its whole length. That meant tunneling sideways into the rock beneath a stone heavy enough to crush anyone under it, working blind, feeling their way through solid granite. Their planning marks remain on the surface still, ochre lines drawn to guide the pounding, laid down by someone whose sole job was keeping 1,000 tons absolutely straight. And then the granite spoke. A crack opened across the body of the obelisk, running through the stone they had spent months freeing. Granite hides its flaws until the moment it decides to reveal them, and there was nothing they could do. For a monolith, a crack is fatal. The whole point was one unbroken stone. A cracked obelisk splits during lifting, or years later, in front of the god it honored. So a decision was made, and it must have been brutal. Months of labor by hundreds of people ended in a single afternoon. The largest object Egypt ever attempted to lift was abandoned where it lay. They walked away and left the tools behind. Dolerite balls still lie scattered in the trenches, dropped at the end of a shift that turned out to be the very last one. The obelisks that survived the quarry faced their next challenge at the river. Each was carefully lowered onto a wooden barge and floated down the Nile across hundreds of kilometers, balanced precariously on water, one shifting rope away from total disaster and loss. One of Hatshepsut's obelisks still stands at Karnak today, nearly 30 meters of granite, weighing over 300 tons, raised and installed successfully, remaining upright after 3,500 years. Others traveled far greater distances. Rome carried Egyptian obelisks across the Mediterranean as conquest trophies. Today, paradoxically, more ancient Egyptian obelisks stand in Rome than in Egypt itself. The largest one still standing anywhere is positioned in a Roman square. Yet here lies a remarkable reversal. Every obelisk that succeeded destroyed the evidence of how it was made. Polishing erased every tool mark from the stone. Only the failure preserved them. This abandoned block contains the most complete record of Egyptian stoneworking technique that exists anywhere. From this single stone, researchers can measure the width of working trenches, the depth removed in each section, the geometry of the crucial undercut, and the exact shape of the tool itself. A finished monument reveals none of these essential technical details. Modern researchers have tested this directly, pounding granite with dolerite exactly as the marks suggest the ancients did. The stone yields, slowly, punishingly, but it yields to persistent effort. So the crack that ruined this monument is precisely why we understand the method. The catastrophic failure preserved the knowledge for us. And it preserved something equally valuable, the people themselves. Egypt meticulously recorded its rulers, but rarely acknowledged its laborers. Yet here, the work itself becomes the record. Every scar in that trench was made by a specific person on a specific morning millennia ago. We do not know what the failure cost them, whether the crews were reassigned, severely punished, or simply marched to the next quarry and ordered to start again. The block was too damaged to use and far too large to move, so it remained in place. For 3,500 years, sun and sand passed over it, while the empire that commissioned it vanished entirely from history, leaving only this abandoned stone as witness. Today, the quarry functions as an open-air museum. Visitors walk the length of the stone in minutes, though the trench running alongside it required months of relentless pounding to create. Engineers and archaeologists continue debating here. How many workers labored? How many months did it take? Was the undercut ever finished? The stone itself keeps offering evidence, and each new generation of scholars reads a little more from what it reveals. Success hides its process. Failure preserves it. This truth applies to granite and to nearly everything humans construct. Stand beneath an obelisk in Rome, and you see a perfectly polished surface. It demonstrates that Egypt possessed this capability, yet refuses to reveal how. The making was intentionally erased to create beauty and conceal the labor underneath. The obelisk lying in the sand at Aswan tells a different story. Rough, cracked, and unfinished, it remains completely honest about the effort it demanded. The final day at that quarry left no written record behind. What survives is purely physical. Unfinished trenches, abandoned tools still resting where workers set them down, and the crack that halted the largest lifting attempt in all of Egyptian history. The next time you stand before something finished and perfect, consider what it had to hide to look that way.